Welcome to A Satisfying End, where we review books, movies, and shows based on their endings. A little unconventional, but I always let you know if there are or aren't spoilers in my videos. So I'm Lynn Lustig, indie author and thrower of books when things in the end just don't work out. So whether you are here looking for an ending approved recommendation, or you're here as a creator, perhaps a writer, and trying to understand how endings work and what you need to do to make them better, you're in the right place. So let's get going. Today we're going to talk about The Last Airbender. If you haven't seen it yet, there are spoilers ahead, so beware. Otherwise, I'm going to use this as one of my baseline series because I thought the ending was fabulous. If you, however, didn't, chances are we don't have the same tastes, and you're probably not going to like me. Oh well. So, getting right into it, I like to judge my series based on a few things. So I'm going to have story structure, genre expectations, and things that make me grumbly. Going through those four, I have a rubric that I've set up. I'm going to link it down below. And I want your input on whether or not you think these items are worthy enough and whether you think they need to change. So the idea is we're going to create this rubric together. We're going to help improve it so that we all understand endings a little bit better. But to get started, the story structure on The Last Airbender is great. And I just geek out about it all the time.
Everything changed when the Fire Nation attacked.
With The Last Airbender, at the end of Act 1, we understand that Ozai is going to be the big bad. So that's perfect. And we've already set up who everybody is, so excellent. At the midpoint, we have the library. So once they're down in the library, they're learning about the Black Sun, and they're learning more about the spirit realm. There's also the indication that Zhao has been in there. Once we get to the end of Act 2 entirely, Zuko has joined the group, and he's going to become the firebending master for Aang. And once we get to the climax, of course, we have Sozin's Comet and that entire 4-part episode that ends, of course, with Ozai being defeated and Zuko becoming the Fire Lord, etc., etc., etc. Okay, so part of what comes into story structure is whether or not it has callbacks to the first act. So once you get to the end of the series or the end of a book, you should have pieces that are going to actually reference back to what was happening in the first place. So in Avatar, that's relatively simple because we have all these callbacks to him as the Avatar and Ozai being the bad guy and props with the Fire Nation and all that kind of stuff that's been a regular part of the series. So that really wasn't too hard for them to do. This isn't like a mystery where you have to really plant those little pieces for people to figure out. So it's going to be just fine. Then we have callbacks to the midpoint. So at the library, there is actually Aang looking at a scroll that has a lion turtle on it. We're going to get more into the lion turtles in a minute /10. So then we have one of the major pieces that really drives me crazy is the ending cannot be a cliffhanger because cliffhangers drive me crazy. A cliffhanger is not the same as when you have a hook at the end of a book or series that's going to draw you into the next one. A cliffhanger is when you don't solve the story problem. In this one, obviously, there is no cliffhanger at the end. We know how things have resolved. Another cool thing is how endings have plausible surprises. So things that are set up so subtly that you're not actually sure that they're going to be there or not. Now, I understand there are complications with the lion turtle. Some people think of that as a Deus Ex Machina, but with the small hints sprinkled through the series, I don't think it is. Also, in the story structure, we have whether or not the ending has a question that is answered. So we do have the question throughout the series of will Aang be able to defeat Ozai? Will he learn how to bend all the elements? Will he end up with Katara? Will Zuko find his honor? So we have all those things and they are systematically answered. Another piece of story structure that I really pay attention to is continuity. So the fact that the animators continued to keep Aang's scar on his back from where he was shot with lightning and then out through his foot was amazing. Okay, then we get into genre expectations. So these are going to change, obviously, genre to genre. I primarily look at romance, sci-fi, and fantasy. So if we get outside of that realm, it's not really going to be my forte, but I am always willing to give it a try. In this one, it's kind of that action adventure fantasy. So you expect to have the big bad defeated at the end. Also some cool magic bits, which clearly we have. It's an amazing magic system. It's pretty standard elemental, but the way that they handle it is just great. And the world building, ugh. Okay, so then we're going to get into character. The character is primary for getting to the end of a series and having it be meaningful. We are following this character around the entire time, and it's absolutely necessary that we are connected to them, that we feel that we're a part of their life and a part of their story. In order for the ending to be satisfying, the lead character has to change enough in order for the pieces of action that they go through to be primary in satisfying that end goal. Throughout the series, Aang learns enough to defeat Ozai. He also searches for a way to get around having to kill him.
Or expecting me to end someone's life.
So that's Aang trying to grow, master the elements in order to attack Ozai head on. Another piece is that we need to understand the characters. We need to know why they did what they did. We need their motivations. We need them to be clearly defined what they want. Clearly, Aang doesn't want to kill Ozai, so he searches for another way. Zuko wants his honor back, but learns that honor is not in glory. Katara wants justice for her mother and to be a waterbending master. We have Sokka, who wants to become a defender.
I saw a heart as strong as a lion turtle and twice as big.
So another piece of being satisfying is to make sure the character uses everything they've got. Oftentimes you'll find series where it's like, why didn't they just do this magic thing? But luckily here, we don't really run into that problem. So using people, weapons, any skills that are at their disposal is really, really good. Aang trusts the other characters to go about their journeys and to find what it is they need to do to help the end come to pass. Another piece is that the characters need to sacrifice something to get there. Finding the end of an adventure or the end of some big plot like this and not having the characters had to give something up in order to get there tends to kind of pull the rug out from people. So in this case, it's like Aang sacrificing his glider. Another big piece of that was Aang was supposed to sacrifice his connections to Katara. Sokka sacrifices his sword at the end, which, by the way, I'm still mad about. Something else that's primary is if it passes the Bechtel Test. If you're not aware of the Bechtel Test, that's two women talking to each other about something other than a man at the same time on the scene. In The Last Airbender, it passes the Bechtel Test at episode 14. Surprisingly longer than I was expecting, given that they go to the island of Kyoshi on like the third episode, but at least it passes it, so I'll take it. We need the antagonist to have a believable motive, in this case, expanding his empire. Seems reasonable enough. We need to believe the hero or heroine's motivation, in this case, save the world. Seems about right. We then need characters to show vulnerability. So Aang, in this case, admits that he's afraid of facing the Fire Lord. We have Zuko regretting how he's been treating his uncle. We have Katara and her generally emotional rainbow, so we go through everything with her. And last in this category so far is talking about primary side characters and their arcs as well. So we tend to get attached to the side characters almost as much as the main, so it's good to see them having this rounded solution as well. In this case, I'm just going to look at Mai and Ty Lee, who do have their own arcs. They eventually come to realize Azula can't be trusted, and they fight back against her and generally join the good sides. That brings us to the final section that I have, which is grumbles. Okay, so I already mentioned the space sword. Okay, I really love that sword. That was the best thing. Sokka gives it up. I'm sad. It is never found. They could have done that in the Korra series, but no, space sword's gone. Unless somebody knows otherwise, then please tell me. I need that happily ever after with poor space sword. The other thing is Zuko's mom. So this is the example of leaving a story hook for things to be explored later. This is explored in the comic books, and actually it does have a great solution. So it's a good hook, gets you there, and it's not specifically necessary for completing this story. The thing that was so close, but some people argue against it, are the lion turtles. The lion turtles are seen throughout the series in Sokka's Swordmaster's Garden statuary. They're seen on the door knockers on all of the doors practically. And then they're also seen in the library when he has the scroll. So that is some super subtle implanting of the idea that these lion turtles are going to mean something. Apparently in the pilot episode, there was originally a moment where Aang was talking in front of a large lion turtle statue and kind of mimicking this imagery at the end of him being with that lion turtle. For me, I don't consider that a Deus Ex Machina, which is the god of the machine. Something random comes in to save the day without actually giving the characters a chance to solve the problem, and is very unsatisfying. Please don't do that. Definitions of Deus Ex Machina say that you can't have any indicator that this item will come in handy at the end or come and save the day at the end. So clearly Airbender did have several of them, but that doesn't mean everybody's going to see it in the same fashion. There are some arguments that when Aang is blasted back from Ozai, him hitting the stone in just the right way on his scar is seen kind of as a Deus Ex Machina. That one doesn't really fit for me. It's an unexpected piece of a puzzle, and Aang was already giving up his attachment to Katara when he was then struck by lightning, which locked, of course, the Avatar state. And in this case, it was the trauma that unlocked it. So there's some theories there that you can debate or not. But all in all, this ticked a lot of the boxes. And again, you can see the rubric that I've created down below. There's a link to it. And to me, this was just a really satisfying ending. Getting to watch that 4-part epic beauty and honestly changed how I see stories. So there you have it, The Last Airbender, definitely a good ending. And if you haven't seen it and you just got all these spoilers, it doesn't matter, go watch it because it's great.